My parents handed my younger sister the keys to a $200,000 villa while the entire family applauded. Then my mother looked directly at me, smiled like she was proud of herself, and said, "At least one daughter in this family became successful." Everybody laughed. My uncle actually raised his wine glass, and my sister, she smirked at me while twirling the villa keys around her finger like she'd just won an Oscar. Meanwhile, I'd spent the last 3 years sleeping for hours a night, secretly building a company nobody in that room knew existed. But that wasn't even the worst part, because 5 minutes later, my father called me a scavenger in front of everyone, and 3 weeks after that, Forbes called me during dinner. That's when my entire family went silent, and that's when everything changed. Growing up, my parents treated my sister Vanessa like she was born royal. Me. I was basically the unpaid intern of the family. Vanessa got birthday trips. I got grocery lists. Vanessa got designer handbags at 16. I got told to be realistic when I asked for college help. And somehow, no matter what happened, my parents always found a way to make her look perfect, even when she crashed my dad's car at 19, even when she got fired from 2 jobs in 1 year, even when she maxed out my mother's credit card buying luxury makeup she couldn't afford. My mother would just sigh dramatically and say, "Vanessa has a sensitive spirit." Sensitive spirit. Meanwhile, I worked 2 jobs during college and still got mocked for buying thrift store shoes. I still remember one Christmas when my aunt asked why I looked exhausted. Before I could answer, my mother laughed and said, "She's always tired because she thinks struggle makes her interesting." Everyone chuckled. I laughed too, because when you grow up in a family like mine, you learn early that defending yourself only makes them crueler. But I had no idea what was coming next. The favoritism got worse after college. Vanessa moved back home at 24 because she needed time to find herself. Translation? She slept until noon and filmed fake luxury lifestyle content for social media. Meanwhile, I moved into a tiny studio apartment above a laundromat. The pipes screamed at night, the walls leaked when it rained, and every month, I had exactly enough money for rent or groceries. Never both. But I never told my family how bad things were, because every time I shared good news, they minimized it. And every time I struggled, they enjoyed it, especially Vanessa. One night during dinner, she looked at my apartment photos and laughed. "Oh my God," she said. "This looks like a place serial killers live." My father nearly spit out his drink laughing. Then he looked at me and said, "You're too smart to live like this, unless you enjoy suffering." I wanted to scream. Instead, I smiled. That became my survival mechanism. Smile. Swallow it. Move on. But secretly, I started building something nobody took seriously at first, including me. That's when everything started changing. I worked customer support remotely during the day. At night, I built branding templates for small online businesses, logos, marketing kits, AI-assisted storefront packages, social media launch systems. At first, it was tiny, $30 here, $50 there. Then one client referred another, then another. Then suddenly I had startup founders messaging me at 2 a.m. One of them offered me $5,000 for a rebrand package. I thought it was a scam. It wasn't. That month, I made more money than Vanessa had earned all year posting fake morning routine videos online. But I didn't tell anyone, because I'd learned something dangerous about my family. The moment they sensed potential in you, they tried to control it. So I stayed quiet. And that silence saved me, because 3 months later, my mother invited the whole family to a special celebration dinner. I almost didn't go. I should have trusted that instinct. The restaurant looked expensive enough to require a security deposit just to breathe inside. Crystal chandeliers, gold-trimmed menus, valet parking. The kind of place my parents only visited when they wanted to impress people. Vanessa arrived 20 minutes late, wearing sunglasses indoors. Of course, everyone acted like a celebrity had entered the building. Then, my mother stood up smiling. "We have exciting news," she announced. My stomach dropped instantly, because I knew that tone. That was the tone she used before humiliating me. My father slid a small velvet box across the table toward Vanessa. Everyone leaned forward. Vanessa opened it slowly. Inside were keys. My aunt gasped. "No way." My mother clasped her hands dramatically. "Your father and I bought Vanessa her first villa." The entire table exploded, people cheering, clapping. My cousin literally started filming, and Vanessa? She started fake crying immediately. "Oh my God, are you serious? $200,000. A fully paid villa for the daughter who hadn't paid her own phone bill in years." Then came the part I'll never forget. My uncle looked at me and asked, "So what about you? Any exciting updates?" Before I could answer, Vanessa smirked. "She's probably still scavenging freelance jobs online." The table laughed. Then my father said the sentence that changed everything. "You can't build a real future scavenging scraps off the internet." Scavenging scraps. I felt my face burn. But my mother wasn't done. She's always chasing little side hustles instead of building a respectable life like Vanessa. Respectable Vanessa, who lived entirely off my parents. Vanessa, whose career was staging fake vacation photos beside rented cars. But somehow I was the embarrassment. Then my sister leaned closer and whispered, "You should be happy for me instead of looking jealous." Jealous. That word nearly broke me. Because deep down, I wasn't jealous of the villa. I was jealous of how easily she was loved. And that realization hurt worse than anything else. So I stood up quietly, grabbed my coat, and walked out while they kept celebrating. None of them followed me. Not one. But 3 nights later, everything shifted. I was sitting in my apartment eating instant noodles when I got an email notification. At first I ignored it. Most late-night emails were client revisions. But then I saw the sender. Forbes. I genuinely thought it was fake. I opened it anyway. My hands started shaking halfway through reading it. They wanted to feature my startup in an upcoming emerging founders to watch piece. I reread the email 7 times. Then I cried. Not graceful movie tears either. Full breakdown. Because, for the first time in my life, someone important saw value in me before asking what I could give them. But I kept the news private. Even then. Especially then, because part of me feared my family would somehow ruin it. And honestly, they almost did. A week later, my mother called unexpectedly. That alone felt suspicious. She never called unless she needed something. "Vanessa's villa needs furnishing," she said casually. "You're good with computer stuff. Can you design some mood boards for her?" Computer stuff. That's what she called the company I'd spent years building. I almost laughed. Instead, I said I was busy. Silence. Then came the guilt trip. Family should support family. Interesting. Because that rule somehow never applied to me. When I refused again, her tone changed instantly. "You've become selfish." Selfish. The daughter who funded herself since 18 was selfish. Meanwhile, Vanessa received a literal house. I ended the call shaking with anger. But 2 hours later, my phone rang again. Unknown number. And that's when my entire life changed. "Hi. Is this Elena Carter?" "Yes. This is Michelle from Forbes." I stopped breathing. She explained that the article editor loved my company's growth metrics. Not only were they publishing the feature, they wanted a filmed interview. Then she casually added, "One investor called your company one of the fastest growing branding firms in the market right now." I nearly dropped my phone because my family thought I was barely surviving. Meanwhile, my company had quietly crossed 7 figures in annual revenue. I'd hidden it from everyone, even friends. I kept waiting for success to disappear if I acknowledged it out loud. But suddenly it was real, painfully real, and terrifyingly public. That's when everything changed. The Forbes article went live on a Tuesday morning. By noon, My inbox had exploded. Interview requests, partnership offers, investors, podcasts, brands, people I hadn't heard from in years suddenly remembered I existed. Then my cousin reposted the article. That was the moment my family found out. I knew, because my phone started vibrating nonstop. First my aunt, then my uncle, then my mother. 8 missed calls, 3 voicemails, finally, a text from Vanessa. Why didn't you tell us? I stared at that message for a long time. Why didn't I tell them? Because every dream I ever shared with them became a joke. Because every success got minimized. Because every struggle became entertainment. That's why. But the real chaos started later that night. My parents suddenly wanted dinner, urgently, apparently. It was important. I already knew what that meant. For the first time in my life, I had something they valued. Status, visibility, proof. So I went, and honestly, part of me wanted them to see what they almost destroyed. The atmosphere felt completely different this time. Nobody mocked me. Nobody laughed. Vanessa barely looked at me. My mother kept smiling nervously. Then my father cleared his throat. We're proud of you. I almost laughed in his face. Proud. These people called me a scavenger 3 weeks earlier. Then came the real reason for the dinner. My mother leaned forward carefully. We were thinking maybe you could help Vanessa with her online brand. There it was. Of course. Not an apology. A business opportunity. For Vanessa. Again, I looked directly at my sister. What happened to the respectable life? Silence. My father shifted uncomfortably. Vanessa forced a laugh. You know Dad didn't mean it like that.